Hello, I'm Chara. I'm a competitive Splatoon player who specializes in Octobrush and Rapid Blaster. I've played Range Blaster for 2 years, including in Splatoon 1, and after that I've played Rapid Blaster since the Kensa kit was released in 2018, and I'm the first player to start pushing the weapon competitively. While I don't do much solo, I've gotten a high power just playing for fun, and I use the weapon in the highest level of competitive play. So today, I want to give you advice on how to rank up with the Kensa Rapid. I'll be going over my thoughts and analysis over 2 solo queue sessions I did recently. These tips can help anyone from someone very new to the weapon to someone more experienced, at any rank. Finally, if you enjoy my content, be sure to subscribe, as I post a lot of competitive info, especially about Rapid. So if you want to learn more, I'm always up to help. Hello, quick note from Real-Time Char. Rolled Torpedo. It has a massive 35 damage indirect that you can basically use to combo with for directs and indirects. This is part of why Kensa Rapid is the best kit and why it's so good for it, because it's able to do that constantly. Torpedo also paints your feet whenever you throw it, so just keep in mind that's going to be very useful if you're in a sticky situation to be able to move out of the way. And yeah, Thrown Torpedo has 3 uses. Number 1, if someone's in a fight, it's a pain in the ass to shoot it down and focus on what you're doing. Number 2, you can find sharking opponents because it'll lock onto them. And number 3, because Torpedo has more range and locks onto opponents, it's really good for throwing at slower backline weapons, since you can actually reach them from your throw range, even chargers. So keep that in mind, and it's difficult to shoot it down. Obviously, having an angle like behind or to the sides makes it harder to shoot them down, because they have to flick, so that's just a general tip. Final note, Torpedo has this thing where you can bounce it off walls to keep it from locking onto people. So if you're unable to roll it because of a height difference, you can bounce it off walls. This is called torpedo spots, basically, and there's a lot of them on many different maps that I'm sure you'll be able to find, and I'm very obsessed with them. Final note, you can spark and direct to get a kill with a one-shot, because you shoot the ground and the blast radius can hit people who are near it. Haha, okay, bye! So, Torpedo alongside Baller being very helpful for being more aggressive is why Kensa Rapid tends to be my favorite and is currently the best one competitively. I'd still even more recommend it for solo, as being able to keep yourself alive is very important, so Baller becomes even better here. Lastly, for gear, I would recommend having any form of swim speed up and ink resistance, as this weapon is highly situational on mobility. You want to try to keep your effective blast radius at all times, so you'll see that I keep my distance and try to poke safely and keep spacing up, so that if people push me, I have plenty of room to back up and keep my effective range. Machine is a lot harder to fight than most weapons for Rapid because it's not as dependent on spacing, so I tend to be a bit careful up close and wait to get help from my Tri-Slosher. After that, I'm going to use my Rapid Shot Suppressor Tower and Baller just to help my team push in. You want to be able to put pressure on tower with your Rapid Shots whenever possible, but be careful because you'll also be a big target when you're doing that. You'll see as I push up on this left side that I opt to back up and keep my distance in order to maintain my effective range, and it keeps me alive in this fight as they drop into my teammates who help pick them off. So again, as I poke over the wall, I continue to keep around that effective radius. The hardest part of learning Rapid Blaster is trying to keep in a range to where your indirects can always hit people. It's something that's very hard to do, and you have to learn to read how your opponents move. But after a lot of time, you can get used to the spacing places of every single map, and get very used to the weapon's range. It just takes a lot of time. Since we're 2 down here, I'm going to opt to back up and just try to keep people from approaching. I have my Baller to keep myself alive, and I'm not really trying to force any of these kills, just keep them from getting out of bunker as long as possible. I end up getting a pick from it, but I more importantly just wait and play safe until my team completely regroups to stay alive. Be a bit careful poking Nautiluses, as that weapon can kill very fast, so I opt to instead keep a bit of a distance and just back off. But I've maintained both mid and my life here, which is really important in solo queue, as once you die, you stop having a big impact on the game, and it's much more up to fate and your teammates, which isn't always going to be as reliable. This bunker area is a really good position to poke with, since you can watch all the main entrance points without going too far outside of your radius, so I try to poke here a lot. I jump off to help push the Nautilus since he can't focus me for too long, and again when fighting the Octobrush, I have to back up and use my baller to make sure I stay alive. Even though he didn't actually hit any damage on me, it's better to be safe and use your special to help keep yourself alive, rather than going super aggressively. After that, I'm again maintaining this left side, slowly pushing up and trying to keep in my effective radius as much as possible. My awareness more just gets me killed here because I don't notice the machine. A lot of times in solo, it's honestly better to not be super aggressive and let people come to you. You'll see the Octobrush completely drops in, and because I'm patient, the machine will do the absolute same thing, which is just 2 free kills to get another push started, and one of them jumps in to just continue it even more. Being patient is a lot of times going to be better than trying to be super over-aggressive, and now with 2 players on the team down, I can safely start my push without having to worry as much about other threats. Here, I'm opting to be more aggressive and use my baller to keep people away from the tower, since we're very close to a knockout, and then use my baller to try to stay on tower. This is something you can do sometimes on TC when you're close to a lead or trying to wall out a choke point, is use your baller just to block and maintain damage. But be careful to get out of there, since once it gets popped, you're basically a really easy kill. Again, Rapid Blaster is all about spacing, so you want to be trying to keep what's your effective range, where you can hit your indirects as much as possible. You'll see a lot of times in this game and others, I do my best to try to maintain my distance while I take fights. If they move towards me, I want to back up. If they back up, I then want to move forward. The longer I can keep them in my blast radius, the better, as it'll be a great way to get reliable damage on them while minimizing the risk to myself. This is also why swim speed up and ink resistance are so important. This is a super high power lobby that's extremely rare, 2630, and it's a Japanese lobby with some of the best players in the game. The Rapid by the name of Freddy on the other team is actually one of the best Rapids in Japan, if not the best. So this is a good example of a really high power solo queue lobby. After a bit of poking, I notice that there's no way I can win the fight against how many people are pushing me, especially since they have armor, so I opt to back up and retreat here. When playing in Snipe, I notice that the Zap is trying to push in as I get a hit marker on him there, and I wait for him to push up on Bunker. Once I see him go over, I use my Torpedo combo to more reliably hit my direct and make sure to help keep my distance. High power lobbies are going to have people who are very good at closing the distance with Rapid Blaster, so it's going to be a lot more dependent on your aim, even more so than your spacing, but keeping your distance will always be important. I keep in this Ditto since this Rapid is currently the only other player alive, and end up winning it, but in my case, teammates would have likely been able to clean up the kill even if I didn't get it, so it would have been at worst a trade and that would secure the last player alive. I'm trying to use my blaster shots to wall out the area in front of tower, which is really important especially for checkpoints. I want to make sure we get through it as fast as possible and keep away other threats like similar rapid blasters that can pressure the tower very easily. Once again, Baller is used for survivability and retreating, and though I do get picked off, I end up getting a trade. The reason I opt to play the right side of this map is not only do we have the most map control here for freedom of movement, but it's also where the tower has to move, meaning it's a great place to be able to pressure objective and force people to move on to me. Once again, I get stuck in a bit of a rapid ditto, but torpedo combo once again will be very helpful in making sure I win that fight. At this point, I make the mistake of staying in this area despite the fact that my team is clearly left by now, which gets me picked off by the roller. It's important to remain calm and not push in super aggressively. I still drop in keeping my distance and wait to try to get picks. Yes, the tower gets more points, but if I rushed in, I would have just died and they would have gotten even more. Sometimes you have to play the long game. I got a bit too greedy trying to camp this jump and should have been aware that there was obviously someone making sure that player didn't die, which costs us even more time. After seeing the curling bomb, I'd be sure to be careful and use torpedo to reveal the location of the roller. Remember, it's very good against sharking weapons. I was a bit too focused on trying to help the squiffer and didn't notice the curling bomb fast enough, which is unfortunate. Since we've just got 4 down, we have to be very careful coming out of spawn and make sure we don't get picked off by anyone sharking or trying to get a quick kill. Again, torpedoes are very useful for this, and we slowly get a bit of map control in which to pressure tower from. Since I have Baller, I'm trying to get in front of tower long enough to keep people away from it. You can see torpedoes in combination with Baller can be very useful for very reliable damage, and then I help my Dapple to get a kill on the Rapid who's flanking. When the tower goes to this left side, it's important I rotate and get in front of this area. This gives me a lot of potential in order to poke people, and as you can see, it comes in very handy in keeping people away from the tower and giving us the chance to push this. Making sure you move to be ahead of where the objective is going is super important on this mode, and it will win you games. I make a huge mistake here by dropping way too early before my team is ready to push in. We get lucky enough that my teammates are able to touch tower, but I really should have waited until they were closer to the checkpoint and my teammates were ready to capitalize on it. So I ended up getting focused before they were ready. Got very lucky in this one. Making sure you're in a good position to both help tower push and to defend tower is really important in this mode. Since this is the best one for Rapid to carry, part of that is its ability to affect the objective. So you want to always try to be in position to help, especially on defense, since blaster shots are one of the best ways at getting people to move off tower. This match is against 2 Charger players, which means it's going to be very important for me to poke with torpedoes more to keep them out of their range and play behind cover. You want to wait for the right opportunity against Chargers and take advantage of the fact that they don't paint the map super well and have a harder time pushing up. The Glooga pushing with wall plus 2 chargers is enough to make me consider giving up this position, and we end up cleaning the Slosher who is going for a flank, so staying there would have been a bad idea. We still have to be careful pushing in mid, as Manta is very open, which means the chargers can get a lot of value. I'm not quite sure what that bamboo is doing, but being aware of flanks is the lesson I'm going to take from this. After Torpedo helps me get a kill on this E-leader, I'm paying attention to my teammates' ouch in order to be aware that there's people on the left side, and it helps me clean up a lot of kills. You want to be aware of your teammates, since Rapid is very good at parrying and helping them since it can provide long-range tick damage, or force people to shoot at a Torpedo. There's someone behind us here, so I have to deal with that before pushing objective, and I try to maintain mid control and deal with the flanking threat before pushing. Against Baller, use Rolled Torpedo and a Rapid Shot to get guaranteed damage when they're stuck in the lag afterward. I use my Baller to help clean up the kill, and to block this jump from an E-leader shot, but I end up realizing they have stealth. Still helpful though. I do a lot more poking over this wall, but be sure to be careful so I can back off the second they start focusing me. Using cover against the chargers and keeping my blast radius when poking people, just really important, and I help with Baller to kill the bamboo and get more map control in mid, since we can now focus the person who's way too far back to get any form of help. Using ledges to poke chargers is super important, as you want to take advantage of your blast radius so you can hit them without them hitting you. That and Torpedo allows us to have full control on this left side, and I can now help my teammates push bunker. Here I make the mistake of peeking the ledge against charger rather than sitting behind bunker to wall the Slosher more safely. Covering this ledge when the tower pushes is really important since it's the main area to ambush it, and after that I poke the main area the leader got me last time to try to keep him off the grading. I end up being kind of stuck on this side, so I go for a trade with him and it ends up working out alright. I assumed I had enough time to shoot the Glooga and the duck behind cover, but was a little bit off. One final thing I want to add in terms of this guide is that you can pair with some teammates such as sloshers, K-Pro, or any other weapon that fights in front of you. I didn't get to have too many examples of this during my recording sessions, but keep in mind Rapid is a really good teammate to pair with other weapons in taking fights sometimes. With that all being said, I hope this guide helps, and thank you so much for watching.